You know, I recall coming to the wet market with my mum as a kid. I remember the smells, the sights, the colors from all the different fruit and vegetables, but what I don't recall is that it was this hot. Whew.
We've heard that Singapore is getting hotter. But just how much hotter? In this episode, I find out how rising temperatures are already affecting us and what we can do to cope with it. This is Victor Chia. He's been helping run his family's vegetable stall at Tekka Market for the past 33 years. Each morning, he brings in more than a ton of produce for his customers. But lately, he's noticed something happening to his leafy vegetables.
Have you found the temperature getting hotter these days? Has that affected business?
I'm selling less, yes. Maybe about 10-20% less. The leafy ones gets wilted fast nowadays because of the hot weather.
Does that mean that this is becoming more expensive now? Because if there's...
Well, yes, it has becoming more expensive. Over the years, you can see an increment in prices. Naturally, the leafy vegetables are the most sensitive to heat.
Yeah.
But of course, there are other vegetables like cauliflower that they get a bit spot due to heat.
You mean the spots?
Yeah. This is the oxidization of the vegetable.
Temperatures in Singapore have been creeping up. In the 1980s, our average daily temperature was 27 degrees Celsius. In the 90s, this rose to 27.7. Last year, it became warmer still, hitting 27.9 degrees Celsius. And this year, the average daily temperature has so far inched up to 28.7 degrees. Temperatures peaked in March at a sweltering 34.8 degrees Celsius. Fast forward to 2045, experts are saying that Singapore's temperature could hit a scorching 40 degrees Celsius on some days.
That's 11 degrees more than what we have today. So I thought, let me find out what that feels like. I'm gonna crank up the temperature in the sauna to 40 degrees Celsius and spend some time in there to see what it really feels like. So I've been in here for about half an hour now, and I'm a little bit breathless, it's uncomfortable, I don't feel like I could get anything done.
Now imagine all 721 square kilometers of Singapore being just like that. I need to find out what that could mean for Singapore. And it's probably best to do that over an icy dessert. But before that, I'm getting some research done. I want to know what happens in countries where temperatures cross 40 degrees. A heat wave in France this year has been linked to 1,500 deaths, as temperatures soared to 46 degrees Celsius in certain parts. The Dutch also suffered, as temperatures topped 40 degrees Celsius. And closer to home, a doctor in Japan has warned against holding the upcoming Olympics during the summer months, after 159 people died last year from heat stroke.
So is it possible a climate calamity could be just around the corner? I think ice kacang?
To get some answers, I'm meeting Singapore's go-to weatherman, Dr. Muhammad Iqmal. He's an expert on climate change at the Centre for Climate Research.
Are you selling more ice kacang nowadays?
Yes, selling more. Yeah. Very
Is it?
good. Yeah.
Especially on hot days, is it?
Weather is hot.
Okay.
Thank you.
This looks good.
That looks really good, actually.
Never go wrong with one of these.
No.
So what do you think? We've seen in other parts of the world people are dying from the heat.
That's right.
Any concern about that here?
That's possible, yes. That's the worst case scenario, especially for those most vulnerable, children, elderly, outdoor workers. Singapore is different from other parts of the world because of our location. So when you have high heat combined with high humidity, our bodies lose the ability to sweat properly, and so we don't cool down as quickly as we can. And so that's when our bodies start to heat up.
So at this temperature now, we have a lot of humidity in the range of how many percent?
Typically, our humidity ranges between 60 to about 80%.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So if it gets hotter, will the humidity increase as well?
It's likely to increase as well because as the temperature of the air rises, it can hold more moisture. We can start to feel the humidity rising as well.
Which means we're going to feel even warmer.
We're going to feel even warmer then, yes.
Humidity is the amount of water vapor in the air. The higher the humidity, the hotter we feel.
So what I have here is a digital hygrometer. It measures temperature and humidity levels in the air. Right now it's about 33, 34 degrees Celsius with about 63% moisture level in the air. So humidity is at 63%. But what I've learned is that anytime humidity is more than 50%, we start feeling a little bit uncomfortable, which is why even though it's only around 34 degrees Celsius, it feels like it's probably around 37 degrees Celsius.
And that, as we've been warned, could only get worse.
So I probably won't be around when it hits 40 degrees Celsius, but my children will be.
I'm going to simulate what 40 degrees will feel like in Singapore by building a hothouse. And I've enlisted the help of Associate Professor Ko Tae-yong.
How are we going to turn this tent into a literal hothouse?
Well, first of all, because we are trying to create a microclimate, we have to seal the tent.
Right?
And then with this heater, it will heat up the air to something like 35, 36, 37 degrees.
Right.
And then with the help of this mist machine, it will throw the water mist so that it will evaporate and humidify the tent.
Oh.
That way we simulate a very hot and very humid climate. So with the combination of these two, we get it to be hot and humid.
Now that we've got our tent up, there's just one thing left to do.
Come and get your ice cream! Ice cream! Come and help us do an experiment.
Beyond just being a tempting treat, we want to find out just how long an ice cream and a chow can last in here. By 2045, our temperatures could hit 40 degrees Celsius. My kids will only be in their 30s by then. So I want to give the next generation of adults a taste of their future.
Thank you.
So we've set up shop here in this little tent to try and simulate what the temperature could be like in Singapore if it were 40 degrees Celsius. Right now it's about 35, 36 degrees Celsius, but humidity is high, almost 70%, which is why, even though I've been in here for only, less than 10 minutes, I'm already perspiring. I feel like I've been here all day already. Hey, you guys want some ice cream? Ice cream, over here, over here.
I've got ice cream for the kids. The catch? They need to stay in here to finish their icy treat.
How would you feel, imagine if this was the temperature every day, all the time?
Frustrated,
Frustrated.
but annoyed. After you just shower, then you go out, then after you feel like you're gonna shower again because it's like very sticky.
Do you find it's very hot nowadays?
Yeah, it's very hot. It's like we're living in a volcano.
Living in a volcano, I know.
I was
Even
already
every
sweating
day.
from like a few seconds after I came in, so
Yeah?
twice as hot compared to outside.
The thing is, they say that it's possible in the future we could have days where the temperature is 40 degrees Celsius.
Oh. I think I'll die in the heat. Thank you.
Yeah?
And we can't do anything outdoors.
Oh!
Whoops.
Now you might wonder, why does it matter? Life in Singapore is almost like living in an air-conditioned bell jar.
So I sleep with the air conditioning on every night. In fact, I practically live in air conditioning. But I am wondering if my over-reliance on it could be bad for my health.
Dr. Jason Lee may have some answers. He's an expert on how heat stress impacts our bodies. And today, he's asked me to meet him here at East Coast Park.
Why are we out here?
Yeah, I think staying too much indoor in air condition is not going to do you any good. I got to teach you how to get heat acclimatized.
Okay, what do you mean by heat acclimatized?
Heat acclimatization is a process where you expose yourself, repeatedly in a hot environment. Then after the period of time, you will find yourself, being able to cope with the heat much better.
So what's wrong with being in the air conditioning?
Yeah, one, not only it is not sustainable, especially in our context where we tend to overcool the environment. Two, when you are indoor, usually means you are less active. And this chronic accumulation of being less active, will have health consequences, bad consequences.
Constant exposure to air conditioning can also dry the mucus barrier in our noses, leading to breathing difficulties and making it easier for us to catch viruses we come into contact with.
If every day after work I come out at 3 o'clock in the afternoon from the air conditioning straight into the hot sun, I mean, is that bad for my body?
The sudden adjustment, you will definitely feel uncomfortable. You might hyperventilate. Your heart rate will be raised. It's just signs of discomfort. So what you want to do, with heat acclimatization is to lower all these signs and symptoms of discomfort. It's a 1 to 2 weeks exposure every day, half an hour to an hour, exposed to the hot environment. Some moderate exercise, jogging to raise your temperature. After 2 weeks, you should feel much comfortable.
But other than getting hot and sweaty outdoors, could there be other ways to beat the heat?
So Jeffrey, you're having the ice cream. Do you feel cooler already?
I'm investigating Singapore's rising temperatures. And so far, it's been a sweaty, uncomfortable experience. There is one thing I can never resist on a hot day.
Hello, uncle. Can I have one watermelon, please? Thank you. My mum tells me that having some watermelon will help cool you down, but I wonder if there's really any truth to it. What do you normally eat on a hot day?
Cheng chow?
The cold version,
Yes,
I
right.
presume. Okay.
Yes.
Who else? What about you?
I would like to have a beer if I have a choice.
A beer? Yeah, that's a good idea. What would you eat on a hot day?
I'll probably have a coconut instead, like a
coconut?
drink, a
Okay.
fresh coconut.
Some soda would be nice. Ice drinks.
Soupy stuff will be fine. Yeah.
Even like hot soupy stuff
Yes.
on a hot day. It's
That's
still
why
okay.
I said that's the way we are brought up.
From desserts like cheng tng to even hot soup, people have differing views about the kinds of food and drink that can help cool us down. I'm going to test out some of their suggestions. And to help me with my next experiment, I brought together 4 testers. The testers and I will each be given a different type of food or drink: ice cream, watermelon, cold glass of soda, fresh coconut, and yes, even hot soup.
It all depends on the food and individual because everybody is different.
To help me make sense of the results is nutritionist Viviana Wu.
So we are going to ask you to drink some water and take a temperature.
Why are we drinking this room temperature
Well,
water?
because you want to cool your body down to the core body temperature around 36.9.
Okay, so go ahead, drink the water. It's just to... Yeah, cheers. Body temperature down to normal.
Yeah, from the hot sun.
After drinking the water, we need to wait 20 minutes before taking our temperatures.
35.8.
So far, we've all registered below the average body temperature of 37 degrees Celsius. After measuring our base temperatures, we tuck in. Once they're done, we wait another 20 minutes before taking our temperatures again.
35.3. 35.1. So what do the results tell us?
Well, the result shows a little bit of difference only because of the food, perhaps. It ranges from 0.1 to 0.6, so it's not even reaching a degree.
Oh, okay, so actually hardly
Very
any change.
slight, yes, yes.
Any surprises? Did you guys expect that?
I am quite surprised because I actually felt better after the ice cream. I felt cooler in a way, maybe psychologically, but nevertheless I felt cooler.
And in fact, you'd be surprised, you became hotter.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed that he keeps drinking the water too, so he's thirsty as well. So he's actually burning off the fats in the sugar in the ice cream. As your body is burning the calories, you heat up your body temperature slightly.
So even for Ashley, she had like the hot soup, you know? So I thought she went up, but only by 0.1.
When you're having something hot, in fact, your blood vessels dilate and you lose the heat. And your body is just reaching some sort of like balance to sort of make you feel comfortable. Yeah, so you're not going to feel like extremely hot. And the body will sort of automatically protect itself and cool down. Yeah.
And what about you guys? Elson, did you feel better eating the watermelon?
I certainly felt better after eating the watermelon. And I'm surprised that there isn't really much change in my body temperature. So looks like it's like what Jeff said, it's all psychological.
I'm actually quite surprised also because I was always told that coconut is quite cooling. And I do feel a little more refreshed than before. So I'm surprised that the temperature didn't drop significantly.
For Sam, you should feel very comfortable because of the electrolytes that you're drinking that sort of hydrate you quite instantly.
Is that why isotonic drinks cool us faster?
That's right.
As for me, I had the cold soft drink and also barely registered any change in temperature. That's because Singapore's average temperature is close to that of the human body, so we have a tougher time dissipating heat. This is because heat transfers from hot to cold environments.
So in a way, I'm not too surprised by the results. I guess unless you have a huge bucket of ice cream or a whole ton of really hot soup, it can't change your body temperature all that much. And more often, it's the external factors like just how cold is your air conditioning. That's the stuff that will really make a difference. But then again, the idea of a really nice cold beer on a really hot day, that still works for me. Mind over matter, right?
Since the food I eat is only going to have a minimal effect on my body temperature, I wonder where the best place to escape the heat really is. I've reached out to Dr. Matthias Roth. He's been measuring temperatures around the island for nearly 20 years, and he's asked me to meet him here at Orchard Road.
Why have you made me come out here?
This is amongst the hottest spots in Singapore.
Right.
In fact, it is about 30.5 degrees right now.
And why is it so hot here?
Because if you look around here, what we see is tall buildings made of concrete. We see a lot of pavement on the ground. We see few trees, very little vegetation. So during daytime, the energy of the sun heats up all this concrete mass. And then at nighttime, the concrete mass wants to release that heat into the atmosphere.
Right.
But it cannot do very efficiently because the heat is trapped amongst the buildings in this so-called urban canyon.
So where then would be a cool spot?
Okay, I'm gonna show you.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go.
So it does feel a bit cooler. Can you tell me what's the temperature? What does it say on your
Okay, let's
device?
check here. Somewhere between 26 to 27 degrees.
Okay.
So it's easily 4 degrees C cooler than downtown.
Wow, so that is quite a bit, 4 degrees. And why is that the case?
The difference really is because of, if you look around us, we don't have these tall buildings which are made of concrete. Here it's basically single-family residential houses. We have a lot of open space, we have a lot of greenery.
So this area absorbs much less heat during daytime compared to the concrete downtown area.
So if I were to live near a park, a forest, a forested area, you know, I should feel cooler?
That's indeed the case, so yes. Because the forest or the park is much cooler than the built-up surroundings, but this park effect, as we call it, is actually extending into the residential areas as well.
But what if I can't choose where I live? And if relying on air conditioning isn't great for my body, I wonder if there are things I can do at home to make my house cooler. I've arranged to meet Darren Chung. He's worked in interior design for the past 4 years, and I hear he's got some tricks up his sleeves that can help make my home cooler.
Over here is the lighting. Okay, these are all LED lights.
And why is that important?
LED lights is meant to replace old conventional halogen and bulbs, where it dissipates a lot more heat.
So, in fact, I noticed the sliding doors, I can see my reflection in it.
I put a UV film. Basically, UV film is to deflect any harmful rays.
The apartment in general is quite light.
I adopt light colors.
Yeah, why?
Because darker colors get to absorb heat, whereas lighter color deflects heat.
And flooring?
Carpet is a no-no.
Okay.
Yeah. So marble floor, porcelain tiles is the way to go for if you want to have a cool environment.
Climate change is pretty much irreversible.
Thanks for your help.
Okay, thank you.
So since we can't stop temperatures rising, we've all just got to learn how to cope with the heat.
So, you know what? I've learned that really there's nothing we can do about the heat and the humidity here in Singapore. It's the tropics, so you get that. But there are some things we can do, for instance, like what we just saw in the apartment, to help us stay cool instead of just blasting the air conditioning all the time. But still, every now and then, I like to just totally chill. And I've got a favorite spot for that. I'll show you. Thank you.